Welcome back, SciTi Tech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to circuit bend this toy keyboard by simply taking probes and poking around and finding how you can distort the sound. Let's get started. This right here is a musical keyboard that is meant for babies to play with, and it makes a lot of interesting sounds, but what I want to do is make it more interesting by simply circuit bending it. As you can see, I can do this.
Piano time! My favorite!
Now let's go bend this circuit and let's get started. First, what I want to do is I want to keep the batteries in the device because when I circuit bend it, I want to be able to make sure it has power so that way I know when the sound is being distorted. So now what I need to do is remove all the screws of the housing and leave the batteries in place. There we go, all the screws are now removed and I can open it up just like this. And as you can see, it's a very simple circuit. It only has a few simple components such as switches, buttons, and a little LED circuit. And now let's go a little deeper and remove the screws to reveal the circuit that makes the sound. And as you can see, there's only a few simple components. This right here is the microcontroller, which is the brains of the device. And the rest of the components on the board is just a bunch of resistors and capacitors and some push button switches. The one I'm going to focus my attention on is this microcontroller. This microcontroller is what produces the sound that is programmed in this device.
Piano time! Piano!
So what I'm going to do is poke around on this board for a long time until I find something that makes a weird sound. So, if I were to unplug this, this does not light up. So therefore, the connection to the sound is connected over here. So I need to manipulate something over here and here. So it's this area of the board I need to focus my attention on. This side is only for the output, so I'll detach it for now and work on it later. Okay, so I found that when I was poking around, I found that if I short the two leads that are on this microcontroller right here, the two leads that are at the very end, it makes a weird sound or distortion. So I followed the traces that are on the PCB and I found this resistor connect to the alligator clip and then connect to the speaker, so that's where those two traces go, and I attach it with a potentiometer, and now when I push a button it changes. And as you can see, I took a pen and made two dots on the board because these 2 points right here, if I short them together, it makes a weird distortion. You can see right here, it makes a sound. And then I found another one over here on pin 5. It makes a really interesting buzzing sound. So what I'm going to do is take this push button switch and connect it to that pin 5 on that microcontroller and connect it to the negative of the speaker, which connects to ground. Pushing the button will create that distortion. So I need to connect it right here on pin 5. I have to be very careful not to short the two pins. I need to connect it to only pin 5. Doing this will allow me to create the distortion. So what I've done is I took a thin wire that came from a resistor, soldered it in the end, and I'm going to carefully solder it directly to pin 5. just a very small amount of solder, so that way it can only solder to pin 5 without accidentally bridging to the other pins. Next, I'm going to take some hot glue and place it over this wire because this wire is soldered to it, but it's not soldered very strong. I need to take the hot glue to glue the wire in place so that way it stays in more secure. And there, she'll look just like this. Next, I'm going to take this wire and solder it to the speaker. And now take a second wire and also solder it to the speaker. Not soldering in very well because there's not enough solder, so what I need to do is add some more solder to the speaker so that way I can be able to solder the 2 wires in place better. Also, take the 2 wires and wrap them together. And there, the 2 wires are now soldered to the speaker and also grounded. And I'll take the 3rd wire and solder it to this little capacitor. And there, this part is now complete. Next, shorten the wire because it's too long. Solder tin it. And now solder in the 4th wire. Next, take some hot glue and glue down all the solder points. Doing this will make sure the wires stay soldered. Next, take the 2 yellow wires and solder to the 10K ohm potentiometer. Next, take the purple wire and solder to the push button switch. And the green wire to the push button switch. And there, this circuit is now complete. So now what I need to do is push it to the side. And I have right here the front housing. What I need to do is modify the front housing, and as you can see there's some excess plastic inside, and I need to remove that so that way I could be able to fit those components in place. I'm going to take this Dremel and cut out the piece. And I'll take these wire cutters and cut out the plastic. And there, the plastic is now removed. Now I could be able to fit the components inside. Next, what I need to do is take a drill and drill 2 holes inside. This one will be for the push button switch. Take a bigger drill bit and drill out a second hole, and this will be for the potentiometer. And there, I have my 2 holes. And now carefully take the wires and tuck them in. And as you can see, it's not fitting, so what I need to do is modify the housing a little bit more. Simply cut out this piece of plastic. And there, now I can take this circuit and put it back into place. Tuck the wires in carefully, and there, now it's a perfect fit. Take the screws and screw the circuit back in place. And there, it is now screwed back in place. Now I'm going to go and take the front housing, and then take these components and put them inside their holes. Carefully take the potentiometer and put it into the bigger hole. Place it in just right. And now I'm going to take a washer, drop it inside, take the nut and screw it into place, and this will hold the potentiometer into place. Screw it in nice and tight, and now take the knob and put it over the potentiometer, and there, the potentiometer is now complete. Now I'm going to take the push button switch and put it into that hole. Unfortunately, the hole is too small, so I'm going to take a stepper drill and make the hole bigger. And there, it is now the right size. Now take the push button switch and put it into the hole. Take a generous amount of hot glue and cover up the back of the switch. And there, it is now solidified, and now the switch is stayed in place. Take the wires, tuck them in. Push the front housing back in place. And there, everything fits. And now take all the screws and screw them back in place. And there, all the screws are now screwed back in place. And there you have it. The project is now complete. Let's go ahead and test it out.
Piano time! My favorite!
Now pushing this button right here not only distorts the sound, it also resets the device. Slight light pushes causes it to distort. Press all the way down, resets. But I have to push one of these keys to do that. Resets.
Piano time! My favorite!
But I can press it down all the way and push these keys. As soon as I stop, it'll reset. So if I do this,
Piano time! My favorite!
what about the other features? Okay, the other features. Let's say this one.
Quack, quack, duck!
It just makes it a little louder.
Moo! Cow! Moo! Cow!
The piano seems to be better.
Piano time! My favorite!
And there you have it. Now you know how to do a circuit bend of this toy piano by simply taking the circuit and connecting 2 different points on the circuit to be able to distort the sound. Thank you for watching SciTi Tech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified of future SciTi Tech videos. To the next tech, goodbye.